Okay, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to WTM Sports. Let me get this down here. Good evening, and welcome to WTM Sports. So we know that Fury versus Wilder 3 has been postponed because of Tyson Fury having COVID. Also, we've been told our Team Fury have a major outbreak of COVID, despite Joseph Parker being part of that team and attending UFC with the COVID virus, apparently, according to newspaper reports and media. We know that the mainstream media cannot be trusted. We know that, and we have to do further digging. Now, whilst this has all been going on, I just went back and looked at the time. February the 22nd, 2020 was when Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury last fought. Now, since this point in time, Deontay Wilder has got rid of Mark Breland, and he's now built his own training camp, I think maybe at the back of his house. And now he's got Malik Scott, a former professional fighter himself. And, he's been around a few camps, and he's brought him into camp to work with. So get some light in here a bit. Got some light? Let's see, get some light. Get some more light in here. So, and they've been very quietly training away. And while the media has been set up specifically to discredit, and I'll keep on saying it, to discredit and to just mock anything Deontay Wilder says or his team says, just to discredit him, give him no sort of attention, any positive attention, any positive light, even with training videos, things he says being misconstrued, just to make him look like a laughing stock. That is what the media has gone out to do. We've seen in the media already, even up to today, where we've got a situation where Conor McGregor made it very clear in the UFC and his pre-fight antics. He said to his opponent, Dustin Poirier, who has already beaten McGregor once, he told him he wanted to kill him. He said he wanted to kill him. And this was only less than a week ago. Deontay Wilder has been investigated for saying he wanted to catch a body in boxing. But he said this in 2019. Now he's been investigated for it. Yet somehow Conor McGregor can get around saying he's going to kill people, and it's acceptable. So we know that media itself is a whole load of rubbish. We know that because it's very biased, and it's being set up by a bunch of people who have a biased mindset. So why we continue to employ these media people is beyond me. When you read their media, when you give their media attention, when you click on their thing, you're actually supporting their garbage. So they think that they continue selling this rubbish. So you're just to read this nonsense. And I'll tell you why I'm going on this trend. Now, it seems to be very, very strange. Fury pulls out of this fight for COVID. Okay, he's got COVID, so he's not well. So surely we'd like to get some interview, some sort of information, pictures, what he looks like, something about that. So that is, that's what I'd like to know about. An interview from Fury. It's quite clear from his Gareth A. Davis interview, plus the information that I've been getting, and that Jared Big Baby Anderson had knocked Fury out on his feet in sparring. Knocked him out on his feet in sparring. So was Fury in shape? Who knows? But that's enough, getting knocked out in sparring or knocked about in sparring by Jared Anderson. That's enough to make you reconsider taking on the biggest puncher in world boxing in Deontay Wilder. Who will be better? But because the media have gone on this slant to discredit Deontay Wilder, and a lot of the media are just like mindless sheep. So whatever the media says, they will follow it and they won't question anything. So this fight has this February 22nd fight. Let me just tap on people quickly, let them know I'm seeing them. Interesting. Okay. Yes, I did know Fury not being in shape. I did hear about that along the grapevine, but thank you for that information. And how are you doing, G Poker? Right. So my trend of thought, Fury not being in shape, and the media consistently discrediting Deontay Wilder. The fight happened on February the 22nd, 2020. We now in 2021. The fight was going to happen in July the 24th, 2021, before there was a postponement. Now, I'm just speaking from a coach's perspective. I don't need the media, and quite a high-level coach, may I say. And that's not based on my own blowing my own trumpet. 20 years in my sport, and be successful at every level of the sport I've been at. So ultimately, a coach's role is to bring out the best in that player, find out, see their potential, make them perform to the best of their potential, maximize their potential, and get the best out of them each and every time. That's what you want to do as a coach. You want to be able to see that person achieve everything with the talent they have and work on every day, getting them that inch closer to achieving not only their dreams, but equip them with the skill set to make what they're doing look easy. You know, that's the dream of every coach, any coach. Certainly for me, to bring the best out of my team, and looking at every individual and adapting drills and skill sets for different skill sets. But like, you can look at a player over, like I've worked with players. So I say, right, I say to myself, the first month, I don't expect them to learn that much if it's a new group. For me, it's about getting to know them getting to know me as a coach. After that month, then I'll start to lay down certain drills and really look to build on coach-player relationship. To start at the ground, building a foundation, then you start to build. During that time, let's say over a 3-month period, you will begin to see players develop skill sets. Maybe they're doing things they couldn't do before, they're doing now. And they're learning new skill sets all the time. So with this being said, I find it absolutely astounding that people would think that Deontay Wilder, who spent now beyond a year with Malik Scott, would not have improved. I will go one step further and say that I don't think, based on what I'm hearing from Deontay Wilder's team, what I've heard from his fiance, and of course what Mark Breeden was saying, I don't believe Deontay Wilder was training or was as dedicated as he should have been. I heard an interview with his fiance at a recent event that she was holding, and raising money in boxing, or for boxing, a boxing event. She was raising money for a very good charitable cause. And she was saying how Deontay Wilder hasn't missed a training session. He hasn't skipped a strength and conditioning session. He's always at the gym. He's always on time. He's pulling his weight. Now, if a person isn't used to doing that, or if a person has been skipping a beat, not going to training, not doing strength and conditioning, turn out when they feel like it, and have become complacent, that would lead to a complacency within his camp and a complacency within himself. You just have to turn up, throw the right hand, and it's over. And when you do that repeatedly, it's a habit. It's a habit past that fight. You do this, you do, but you don't put 100% in, and he's still winning fights. He's still knocking people out, and you're not giving 100% in training. You're not turning up to all your training camps. Then you're not paying attention to training the way you should be paying attention to trainer. And the only way for you to understand or comprehend what you have as a fighter and the privilege you have as a fighter is when you get dusted up, beaten up. Then you understand you're no longer the champ. Nobody's no longer calling you champ. Replays of you getting beaten up over and over and over again. And then you say to yourself, you find out that this person has done things in a legal fashion and legal manner. That just rubs salt into the wound. You understand? And then you think to yourself, well, hold on. I was the guy that gave Fury a chance to come back into boxing. I gave him the opportunity. I welcomed him back into boxing when nobody gave a damn about him. I gave him the opportunity. And for this to all happen now, you open the door for them, and this is what they do to you. So, if people think that Wilder versus Fury 3 was going to be exactly the same fight, how possibly could it be? You have a guy dedicated to the sport of boxing, now engaged with his trainer. He's got to have improved. And if you can't see on the pads and the stuff he's doing, it's a year he's had with his trainer. It's not like 3 months. It's not like 2 months. It's not like, you know, he's had a year plus, a year and 5 months. A year and 5 months as his trainer. And you're telling me, you're going to sit there and tell me he's not improved. So Tyson Fury, the heavyweight champion of the world, recognizes Deontay Wilder not only as the biggest puncher in world boxing, but the most dangerous heavyweight in the world. He recognizes it. His fans don't recognize it. His fans think he's a bum. But some of his fans don't understand the difference between selling a fight and the reality. Selling the fight, well, you turn around and call a guy a dosser. Selling the fight, you tell the guy, oh, he's a bum, he's this and that. That's to sell the fight. That's selling a fight. But the reality is, if you sit Tyson Fury down and say to him, what do you think of Deontay Wilder? Oh, he's dangerous. He's the biggest puncher in the heavyweight division, by none. He's knocked me down twice. He's knocked me down twice. He almost had me out in the 12th round. That's the facts. That's not what the papers put up. You see, the paper and the media can say so much, but when it's factual, they can, i.e., when they kept pushing and pushing and pushing Joshua versus Fury, and the arbitration came about, it was a backhand to the media, old school media, the lamestream media. It was a backhand. It was like, shut up. This is what's happening. This is the facts. Arbitrations happen. Fury versus Wilder 3 is happening. So, let me put the picture. Let me bring this all together for you now. You have a new and improved Deontay Wilder. All Tyson Fury can prepare for, and Sugar Hill, all they can prepare for is an old Deontay Wilder. Forgive me. All they can prepare for is an old Deontay Wilder. All they can prepare for is Deontay Wilder beaten. All they can prepare for is a Deontay Wilder who is not as dedicated as he is now. Which means it's an improved Deontay Wilder. Plus a Deontay Wilder seeking revenge. That means you have a new case file, a whole new fighter to prepare for. Not only has he's got a right hand, we knew that already, and he's fast and he's athletic, but he's now improved. He's not just going to rely on that one right hand. So now you have a problem. You have a problem. You can bring in F.A. Jagba. You can bring Gerald in for sparring. I mean, if Wilder's a bum, why would Fury go and bring in Gerald Anderson and F.A. Ajagba? Why would you spar with those guys if he's a bum? You see, people don't think he's bringing top quality sparring, top quality guys to spar with. No one's going to say Ajagba's a bum. Nobody's going to say, oh, he's sparring with Ajagba. Yeah, and he's sparring with Gerald Anderson. So what does he need that for? Why does he need to spar with these guys? Because there's a legitimate front of him. So he doesn't know what he's preparing for. He can only prepare for what he's dealt with before. I heard fighters say, yeah, I'm preparing for the best version. Well, how can you prepare for the best version? The best version may turn up on a night and face you. How can you prepare for the best version? You can prepare for the version you faced, but prepare for the best version? Have you faced the best version to prepare for it? Doesn't make sense. So you have a situation where, okay. Has he improved? He looks like he's improving. He looks like he's coming, and he's got a lot of fire there. How can I get to look at him? I thought to myself, if I wanted to take a good look at Deontay Wilder, what would I do? So pause that thought for a second. All of a sudden, Dillian Whyte on his way to America, looking for an opponent, won't fight Charles Martin, who's, I would say, is a legit fight, wants to fight Jermaine Franklin. Who wants to see him fight Jermaine Franklin? In a fight, I'm not so sure he can win, to be honest. That's just my opinion. But I can talk about that in another video. He's just in America, suddenly. He's not a big draw in America, but everyone knows Dillian Whyte. He's not a big. Why is he a big draw? He would be known as the guy that got knocked out by Anthony Joshua in America. Yeah? Remember? And Joshua got beat by Riz. That's one way to know Dillian Whyte. Another way to remember Dillian Whyte is the guy that got knocked out by Alexander Povetkin. Yeah? Those are the sort of things that the Americans will think about and consider. And the fact he fought Malcolm Tan that nobody cared about. These are just hard facts. It from an American perspective. And then Eddie Hearn says, oh yeah, you can make it on July the 24th. It's convenient how think about this. People are pushing for Dillian Whyte versus Deontay Wilder. You're pushing for that fight. Tyson Fury pulls out. So who ends up being the guinea pig now? Dillian Whyte. All that aggression, all that anger, all that pent-up rage that was towards Tyson Fury can be diverted and turned to Dillian Whyte, who's had his fair share to say about Deontay Wilder. So whereas Dillian Whyte may have faced a Deontay Wilder when he wanted to face Deontay Wilder back then, when he was on that 1,000 days as a #1 contender, and Deontay Wilder may have been caught off stepping. Now Wilder is going to be fully focused on the job, and Dillian Whyte's supposedly in America now. Tyson Fury has gone MIA, missing in action. Dillian Whyte's around. And he's back as, is he not the #1 contender again? I'll have to check that. So what about Dillian Whyte versus Deontay Wilder? And Dillian Whyte being the sacrificial lamb, as always, for Mr. Hearn. So not only are Deontay Wilder's improvements, but Tyson Fury can assess Deontay Wilder's improvements. It's a win-win. If Dillian Whyte loses to Deontay Wilder and Wilder looks spectacular and the improvements are there, Tyson will know about it. Joshua will know about it. White will know about it. That's a way for you to assess how much improvement Wilder has made since the last Fury fight. And Fury can sit at his home and watch. Good evening. Fury can sit at his home and watch and call Wilder still a big dosser, and his fans will lap that up. Joshua will sit at his home preparing for Alexander Usyk. And Dillian Whyte will be facing his worst nightmare in America against a rejuvenated and mentally ready Deontay Wilder. And all the stuff the press has been saying about he's not mentally in the right frame of mind, he's this, he's that, he's the other. And he goes out and he blows away Dillian Whyte. So is Dillian Whyte going to use as the guinea pig? Is he going to use as sacrificial lamb? And the Fury, pardon the pun, that should have been taken out on Mr. Tyson gets taken out on Dillian Whyte. Because a lot of people are pushing this Dillian Whyte fight. Not quite sure why, but they're pushing the fight. Guy that got knocked out by Alexander Povetkin. Man that got dropped by Joseph Parker. And I can't remember the guy's name again. Oscar Rivas. Are you convinced that Whyte can stand up to the power of Deontay Wilder? Are you serious? That he's got the durability to stand up to Deontay Wilder's punching power? Are you serious? Against Parker, he was struggling against Rivas. He got put out cold by Povetkin. And you're going to say that Povetkin, Parker, and Rivas hit as hard as Deontay Wilder? What more do you have to see him laying out Brazil in a round when it took 7 rounds for Joshua to do that? And even then, Joshua could knock him out that way. What more do you see about Deontay Wilder's punching power? But yet people going, yeah, the Dillian Whyte fight. Why are you pushing Dillian Whyte? Oh, Andy Ruiz is going to fight Luis Ortiz. Why are you talking about Andy Ruiz? Why are you talking about Andy Ruiz? Why are you talking about him? I don't get it. I'm not understanding what the mind is. Why people want the Dillian Whyte fight? I didn't understand why they want the Dillian Whyte fight, and I certainly don't understand why they want this Ruiz fight. I don't get it. I didn't understand why they wanted the Luis Ortiz fight. I said Luis Ortiz ain't fought no one. Luis Ortiz is going to get knocked out by Deontay Wilder. And they went a rematch. When the rematch came up, they went, oh yeah, when he rocked Wilder in the first fight, so now he's just got a haircut and he's lost some weight. I said, well, he's going to get knocked out the first time Wilder touches him. And the first time Wilder touched him, what happened? Wilder lands a right hand on Dillian Whyte. The fight is over. Fight is over. It's done. Why do you want to see that? Why don't people want to push for Dillian Whyte to fight Tyson Fury? Why don't they push for that fight? Why don't they want to push it to Dillian Whyte to Deontay Wilder? It's something to think about. And it's the sort of move that Eddie Hearn would do. Eddie would say, look, check this out. Look, we still want you to fight Joshua, yeah? So, we got Dillian Whyte. You know, if we push Dillian Whyte in there, and Dillian does the business against Wilder, gets him out of the way, then guess what? You and Joshua can fight and get Wilder out of the way. That's how these people think. They're not smart. They're not clever. They're not clever at all. They're not clever at all. So the one way they can make this fight happen is if they make Tyson Fury, what's that belt called again? Not regular. What's that belt? No, not corporate champion. You know what it is? Not corporate champion. The words are tip of my tongue. I can't remember it. Not corporate champion. Somebody remind me what the belt is. What the name of the belt now? The one that Canelo's got and Lomachenko had. Not the diamond belt. Somebody please remind me. Not diamond belt. Such a garbage belt as well. WBC. Oh, franchise champion. That's the one. Thank you very much. Franchise champion. Yes. So they make Tyson Fury franchise champion, right? And they make the WBC belt the strict Tyson of the strict Tyson of the WBC belt, right? They make him franchise champion. Tyson goes missing, maybe retires or something. And then you have Dillian Whyte and Deontay Wilder. So that way the WBC get to honor, they get to push Mr. Whyte, get him out of the way. And then you got Dillian Whyte versus Deontay Wilder. Makes enough sense. It sort of keeps WBC going. They get more money in that fight. Deontay Wilder versus Dillian Whyte. Whyte says he can turn it up in July the 24th. And you know what I would do? I would say, you know what? We'll take that fight on July the 24th. Mr. Hearn, we'll take the fight on the 24th of July. We'll take that fight. Unless the contract says that's been signed, that Deontay Wilder cannot fight anybody else but Tyson Fury. Then there's problems in that contract. But if there isn't, I'll call their bluff. I'll take the fight with Dillian Whyte. Because Dillian Whyte wasn't preparing to fight Deontay Wilder, or did he know something we didn't know? I don't believe that. I would call their bluff and take the Dillian Whyte fight. You've been training for a year and a half. Why not? I wouldn't say that Dillian Whyte's got a better skill set than Tyson Fury. I wouldn't say Dillian Whyte's as awkward as Tyson Fury. And here's a guy that's been knocked out cold already. Twice. Let's remind you of the Joshua fight. So, and he's gone down quite a few times. He's not the most defensive wizard in the world. He naturally backs himself to the ropes. Why not take that fight? Knocking Dillian Whyte out would send a statement that would make Anthony Joshua look for more mandatories. And Tyson Fury not wanting to go anywhere near Deontay Wilder. He said he didn't want to fight Deontay Wilder, so I don't see why people would be surprised. Not in the slightest. I don't see why. I wouldn't even be surprised, and this sounds stupid, I wouldn't even be surprised if that happened. They threw Joseph Parker into the mix afterwards. Should he beat Chisora, they throw Joseph Parker into the mix as well. I expect now anything to get in the way of Deontay Wilder getting that rematch. And if they hand the belt, if they give Deontay Wilder, like they hand it over to him, say, hey, you can have this belt now. We're stripping Tyson the belt and giving you the belt. That won't be the same, because fans will say, you were handed the belt. You know what I mean? Until you fight Tyson Fury, you're not the real champion. That's the sort of nonsense that will come out. So let me quickly go through these comments that people are saying. So that's the end of my thought process. First of all, just to recap, I find it very hard to believe that Deontay Wilder has no February or March till now. I find it very difficult to believe. That's the first thing. So I believe he has improved. Secondly, I think they will try and bring in Dillian Whyte as the guinea pig, and Tyson Fury can watch how Dillian Whyte has Deontay Wilder's improved. Let me just go through these comments now. Wilder versus Francis Ngannou, I think that's a bit of fantasy. Don't think that's going to happen. Period. I don't think Pulev gets past 3 rounds with Wilder. Wilder is old and stiff. Yeah, he'll knock Pulev into tomorrow. Knock him back into Bulgaria. Sorry. Thing is, I picked Wilder in the second fight. First time I've gone against you due to seeing improvements, and it was a shutout. Yeah, but there are many question marks about that performance. Again, I have to say to you that I'm not convinced about. Yes, my friend, I'm good. How are you? Make sure you smash the like button in the room, please. The more likes this video gets, the more views it will get as well. So smash the like button, please. Smash it. Remember what Deontay Wilder did to Dillian White and Mark Breland? What did he do to Dillian White and Mark Breland? I don't know what he did. Tell me what he did. Otto Walling gave Fury a rough fight. Explanation was Fury's fights to the level of his opposition. What if the truth is that dirty tricks come out against greater fighters like Deontay Wilder? Plausible. Have you seen a new boxing game? I have seen it. I've seen the game, but I've seen the trailers. It looks pretty good. It's pretty good. Wilder KOs White in a round for sure. If he comes out like he did against Dominic Brazil or Bermain Stavert in the second fight, very possible. Evening, Ingram. Evening, Stefan. How are you doing, my friend? How has your day been? Great analysis, Ingram. Interesting. Yeah, it's interesting. I sat down and thought to myself, you know what? If I want to see Deontay Wilder fight, how can I get to see him fight? How can I prepare for him? The best way I can prepare for him is not fight him and let somebody else fight him. Then I can see how he's improved. I can see his movements. You know? Feet terrible. He got rocked in first versus Hellenius. Yep, that's what I'm saying to you. Yep, thank you for reminding me. Franchise champion. I got it in the end. Franchise champion. Franchise champion. Yes. Franchise champion. Deontay Wilder should fight Oscar Rivas next. What's your name, Eddie Hearn? WBC should get rid of the bridgeweight division. It's a bad idea for boxing. It should be abolished. All the cancers. Well, I disagree with you on that. Because if you're too big for the cruiserweight division but too small for the heavyweight division, you're unfortunate. The bridgeweight gives those fighters that are too small for heavyweight but too big for cruiserweight an opportunity to win a world title. So I disagree with you there. It's very easy to make these comments if you don't compete. It's very easy to make these comments if it doesn't affect you in any way, shape, or form. It affects me because I love the sport, and the more champions we can have in terms of people being able to realize their goal to become champion, I think it's fantastic. Another weight division, you can't make cruiserweights. You're too big for cruiserweight and you're too small for heavyweight. So I've had friends who used to box, in fact, guys I used to spar with. They were too big for one weight but too small for another weight. So they were like too big for welterweight, but too small for middleweight. So light middleweight helps. Yeah? Yes, BWT in sports. Wilder hungry again, of course. Wilder only interested in fighting Fury for revenge, not belts at the moment. Yes, I get that. I totally understand that. I get that. But what are you going to do if the guy doesn't want to fight you? He doesn't want to fight Wilder. That's clear. Of course he looks like an improved fighter. Of course he looks like an improved fighter. But if we're relying on biased minds and biased mindsets to tell us what's going on in boxing, you can forget it. You know, I was listening to Ian Dark, the great Ian Dark, commentating in football. I said, what a shame. This guy was a great commentator in the UK. Never, ever did I see him as a biased boxing commentator. Just called it as it was. Called it as it was. Great commentator. Nah, forget Trevor Bryant, man. Trevor Bryant is what Dillian White should be fighting. Forget Trevor Bryant, man. Forget Trevor Bryant. No. Dillian White should fight Trevor Bryant so he can get a world title. That's what I think. So, yeah, I think that's about it for this video. I think. So those are just my thoughts. Section as always. Deontay Wilder versus AJ. Who you got? Deontay Wilder, AJ by mandatory, meaning that AJ won't fight Deontay Wilder. Don't see it happening. Not unless he's forced into a corner. AJ will look for another mandatory before he fights Wilder. especially if Wilder looks devastating in his next fight. So they're talking about, I heard rumblings of Deontay Wilder's going to have an interim fight. An interim fight. Who's the best interim fight to have? Interim fight? Well, there's only one man who's interim in the WBC and the heavyweight division. That's Dillian White. So if you're going to have an interim fight the interim man. The can man. Dillian White. That's what I think. No, I don't think Dillian White will get Trevor Bryant now. So that's it. I don't think there's anything much more to talk about today on this particular subject on football. I will do a video on that. I'll show you I'll show you the message I got today. Not very good. Unless somebody else has got something to say. I think Fury's addicted to fame like McGregor, so I hope that there's a chance that losing public attention will force Fury's weak man back into the ring. I hope Wilder waits. It's a long wait. It's a long time. February 22nd to July 24th, still not fighting. I'd like to see Fury back in the ring. Right. Let me get out of here. I'll talk to you soon.